Hello, everyone. You are listening to the C Squared podcast with Corey and Curtis. Today, we are here with the Big Lebowski of metal. That's right, the dude himself, Kevin Stewart-Panko, who has done a little bit of everything. He's done journalism, merch, you name it. He's probably done at least something related to it in the world of metal. We're super excited to have him. But first, I do just want to say thank you for joining us today. We're super excited to have you here.
Cool. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to doing some rambling.
Oh yeah. Like I said before we got on this, it is not a podcast with Corey and Curtis. If there is not a decent amount of rambling, it means we failed. But before we get too far into the rambling, do you want to just give like a brief intro of who you are, what you do for the people who have been living under a rock, who don't really know who you are and what you do?
Oh, I'm sure there's lots of people who have no idea who I am, and that's probably a good thing. But anyway, yeah, I mean, how far do you want to go back? Because if we're talking about journalism, I mean, my history, or I started we can go back to the mid 80s if you want.
What we'll just do
nutshell my life and
yeah. All right, I'll try and do like a Cole's Notes version for us Canadians and a nutshell version for Americans. I don't know if Americans know what Cole's Notes is.
We have Cliff Notes here. Is that the same?
There you go. All right. Yeah, basically. All right. Started off in the mid 80s as a tape trader who ended up writing for a couple friends, tape trading pals, fanzines. Decided I could do it myself. Started doing it myself in the late 80s. A fanzine called Keelhauled. That morphed into Doomhauled. And that sort of became my thing after a few issues. And then for a while there, towards the sort of last 3 years of it, we were like, me and this other dude who was doing the layout and design for me, we went nuts. We were doing like 10,000 free copies, like 3 or 4 times a year. That sort of that sort of led me to the world of actually being paid to do it through Terrorizer magazine. And then that was sort of 97, I think. And then from then on, it's been just everything basically you could probably think of, except like Kerrang and Rolling Stone. I don't know, like the big, huge ones. But I mean, I've written for magazines that I don't even remember existing. Like the other day, I was cleaning out some crap over here, and I came across a big stack of magazines that I contributed to, but I don't remember, and it's been a long time since they even went under, and I was like, oh, I wrote this? Crazy. But right now, I contribute or write for, whatever you want to call it, to Decibel, Metal Hammer, Zero Tolerance, Iron Fist, Outburn, as I was saying earlier, a new magazine from the UK called Metalhead, a website called V13, which is based in Canada, a website called Metal Ejection, which you've probably heard of, a magazine in Spain called This Is Metal. I've done some stuff for Noisy, which I guess is Vice's metal part of their website, and some stuff for Bandcamp Daily. And I write bios here and again when people need me to, and there you go.
So just as a follow-up, Kevin, how does one write for like a bazillion publications? Like, how does one really get started doing this, other than, starting your own fanzine back in the 80s?
How does one start?
Well, yeah, how did you do it, I guess, other than just writing a fanzine?
Basically, I just love writing and I love metal, and just combine those two worlds, and was kind of doing it just as a hobby. And I basically look at my life as a hobby that has got out of control. Everything revolves around. And I should also mention that I just don't, or in the past anyway, I haven't just written about metal. I've also written for like some indie rock magazines. I used to have a jazz music column for another magazine I used to write for, and I've written also, about sports as a freelancer, about sex and relationships, whatever you want to call it, as a freelancer, stuff like that as well. So writing and music, my two loves, put them together, and basically I just kind of kept doing it because I love doing it. And as you do it and you develop contacts, and I guess I'm halfway decent at what I do, people would just start tracking me down and ask me to write for them. And then I was like, hey, well, I can actually do this and make a little bit of money doing it. So then I would start tracking people down and asking if they needed writers, and here I am. I mean, it's a living.
Do you actually make enough to, you don't write full time, do you? Are
No.
you full time? Okay. Yeah, I didn't know.
I honestly, I mean, I may do like this as full-time hours, but I've never had a full-time job in my life. And I somehow have been able to buy a house and support a family and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I have a day job, part-time. I work at a hospital.
Yeah.
Which has been real fun during the pandemic.
I'm sure that was
I also I also, I tour with bands doing merch. I also work, not that I've done it since the pandemic started, but I work in doing like extra and background work in film and TV. And what else am I forgetting? I think that's it.
So
you could say that you are the rug that ties the scene together. You really tie it all together.
I do a lot of stuff, but I wouldn't say I tie much of anything together.
I'm going to be throwing Big Lebowski jokes into this entire podcast just for the hell of it.
Over the line.
You're in for a world of hurt if you don't laugh at my Big Lebowski jokes.
This is amazing.
Should have wore my robe.
You need to be wearing a robe. This is going to be an opportunity here. But so with like all of these different publications that you work for, how do you figure out where you're going to write about which pitch? Like, how do you place things?
It depends on the publication. I mean, let's see, like something like Decibel, Albert Mudrian, as you both know, he's kind of tailors, I guess, what he wants as content in the magazine and kind of farms it out to people. So, every month it'll be like, all right, I need you to review these records. And if you want to interview these bands, go ahead. I've been pitching Albert for 17 years on stuff. So it's not like, it's not foreign for him to say, hey, give me some ideas, whatever. So there's that way of going about doing it. That's sort of the way that, say, like Decibel, Metal Hammer, and I guess Metalhead do it. Other magazines are like more open to just letting me do whatever the hell I want. So I find a cool band that I want to write about, or a band that, has a story to tell or something, or someone who would be a good interview. And I kind of do it. And I sort of say, all right, do you want it? Do you want this? Do you want this for content? Yeah, so that's, and there's certain magazines that are a bit more niche, I guess. Iron Fist, magazine based in the UK, is very, very much concerned with metal's past. Mm-hmm. So, whenever a band has a bunch of reissues happening or have gotten back together or whatever, it's like they'll have me jump all over that and get involved with that. Zero Tolerance is about 50-50 splits on pitches and just handing out assignments. Yeah, I mean, it basically takes a bunch of my supreme, immensely organizational skills to get all this done and together and keep it all keep it from collapsing into a smoldering heap every month. So there you go.
How many do you actually write per month, Kevin? Because it seems like you're always writing for somewhere all the time, and I don't know how many. Like, it seems like you write a lot.
Yeah, I do. I'm writing like every day. I've never sort of kept track of how much I do a month. I mean, Decibel's a monthly magazine. Metal Hammer's a monthly magazine. Some of them are bi-monthly, some of them are quarterly. Websites, you kind of just do whatever whenever stuff comes up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it varies.
What would you say is your minimum that you do for articles per month, out of curiosity?
Minimum. Dude, I don't know.
That much, eh?
It's got to be double digits, man. I don't know.
That's fucking crazy. Corey, did you have a follow-up before I go on the next one?
No, go for it.
Okay, so so now you talked about having organizational skills. I'm assuming you were sarcastic. I'm assuming, but if you were, that's fine. So okay, now how do I want to phrase this here? So let's say that you get it. Like, I know you've had this happen with me before, where it's been like you pitch someplace, you got the okay for the article, but then they turn it down for whatever reason. You have to place it elsewhere. It's very, I know it's happened once or twice, but it's pretty rare. So what do you do in a circumstance like that, where you think you're going to get a placement somewhere, doesn't pan out? How do you handle telling it to the band?
I mean, it's so rare that I just apologize, come back.
Easy.
Or, I mean, what I can do is like this this website V13, which used to be Pure Grain Audio. I don't know why they changed the name, but they did.
Yeah.
But V13 pretty much gives me free license to do whatever I want. I don't have to clear anything with anybody, really. Wow, so if I do something that for whatever reason gets killed in another publication or website or whatever, I can just sort of say, all right, well, it didn't happen there. It was supposed to, sorry, but I'm going to put it in V13 and it'll at least turn up there. And, sorry, you didn't have however many people you're expecting to see this, but at least that many people are going to see it.
Yeah.
And it'll still get out there.
Yeah. And V13 is a good site anyway. So, I mean, like, it's good.
Yeah. No, they're cool dudes. I mean, I think the issue, not the issue, but for metalheads anyway, the issue with V13 is that it's not exclusively a metal site. So it's not one of the ones that you would go to and say, all right, I want to find out about what corpse raping zombies are up to this week. Oh, wait, they're not going to be on V13 because it's not a, exclusively underground metal site. I'm going to go to the whatever metal site and get my news on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally.
And I don't know if there actually is a band called Corpse Raping Zombies, but if there are, sorry.
There appears to be a band called Corpse Molester Cult with a song Raped by 7 Zombies. I was Googling this just to see if it was an actual band.
Cool. It's probably going to be a band by the end of the weekend, I bet you.
Yeah, it's not going to be a band.
Okay, before we move on to the next question, so just about the figuring out where you're going to submit an article to. So, so let's say that you get that you want to write an article about a band. You pitch it to, like, for example, let's say you wanted to get it in Metal Hammer. They turn you down. What's the next step that Kevin takes after he gets turned down with the initial publication he wanted to send it to, other than V13, for example?
Just take it to the next dude or dudette or whoever wants it. I mean, it's like the issue. I'll give an example of what I've been doing with this one band the last couple of weeks. There's this band from Russia called Vorvan, Vorvan.
Yes, I do know them.
Fucking awesome band.
Yeah,
but they're from Russia. They're on a they're on a small label. But this band is incredible.
Sure.
And I've hit up certain people about it, and I've been sort of said, I've been turned down or whatever you want to say, or had someone say, I don't want to feature, I'd rather have you review it, or I don't want anything at all. I'll just keep taking that same, like, if it's someone I'm really passionate about or really into, or I really think, is going somewhere or whatever you want to say, I'll take that to as many places as I feel appropriate and say, hey, do you want me, or can I do something on this band? Because I think they're fucking awesome. And, after however many years of doing this, someone out there has to trust me.
Yeah. You would think it would eventually happen.
You'd think.
So you just kind of keep going.
And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I mean, that's the nature of the beast, right? It's like space is finite, no matter what the nerds on the Big Bang Theory will tell you. Like, there's only so much that can go around, and there's only so much, time is limited because everyone has their windows that they want their, the promo to be promoted. Yeah. And that's something I kind of have an issue with, but I get it. I get it's a business, obviously. So, you just kind of do what you can with the time and space and opportunity that you have, and hopefully it works out.
Yeah, no, I get it. Corey, you want to shoot the next question?
Yeah, sure. So with your inbox, I'm sure you get pitched like, I know what mine looks like, and you've been around, you know, and done a lot more than I probably ever will with journalism. What are some of the like worst mistakes that you see when people bitch or pitch you, not bitch you, pitch you?
Well, they bitch me, but yeah. The worst mistakes.
This is what we call, I was looking at Curtis's notes and he put pitching bitch fest. So that's where the bitch came from.
Ah, I see.
Yes.
Let's do it. It's funny because I'd say about 8 years ago, maybe more, I had this idea of starting an anonymous blog of just some of the really crappy ways that people have approached writers about about how PR people have approached writers about what they're PRing. Then I realized that's probably being a bit of a dick, because I mean but there's a million ways to do anything, right? So I can't sort of say that, there's one way that I prefer, there's one way that's good. I mean, there's a stuff where very obvious spelling mistakes that shouldn't happen. Like if you're telling me that you're influenced by your band, or the person you're representing is a band that's influenced by, band X, band Y, and band Z, and band X and band Z are spelled incorrectly in the course of the bio, then, that's just kind of something to laugh at. Maybe it's your, what do you call it? Autocorrect. Maybe it's not, I don't know. Maybe it's a language barrier. Maybe it's not, I don't know. But, they're just kind of things now that I don't really take affront or offense to. I just kind of look at it and laugh and move on. I mean, I know I've listened to a couple of your previous or other episodes about, mistakes people have made in pitching and stuff like that. And I assume that the question is coming up that what's the best way to pitch?
Ooh,
or whoever.
He knows. Yes, it is. You're the wizard.
Professional dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point in time, it's more like it kind of just, what is my mood? I mean, I get my inbox is a nightmare. It's like, on a slow day, I get 175 emails.
Whoa, that's amazing.
I get, I literally get 80 records a day sent to me, because I'm still on a lot of indie rock PR lists. And I, once in a while, there'll be like an indie rock PR person is repping a super awesome, cool noise rock band, which, I love noise rock. So I kind of keep my toe in there and seeing what's kind of going on, and also seeing what's going on in the bigger world, and also the touring world. So, I don't sort of subtract my name from people's mailing list just because they're not dealing with corpse raping zombies. You know what I mean? So
seriously, if listeners out there, if one of you does not make this a band sometime in the next week, I'm going to be super disappointed. All right.
Credit Kevin for it and give him any royalty fees for it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about pitching just for a few minutes, since you're a journalist and obviously you've probably seen every pitch in the book. So okay. What is the absolute worst pitch, without naming names, that you've ever received as a journalist?
It wasn't so much the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And this was so long ago, I can't even remember who it was,
cool,
or what band it was, or what the deal was. It wasn't the pitch. It was the sort of email chain that followed the pitch. So whoever this person was sent out this record asking for the usual, hey, can you review this? Can you interview this? So-and-so. And obviously, if you looked at the tone of the pitch, it was like this guy, or I can't remember, it was a man or a woman, an alien. I don't remember who it was. So this person was like so hell-bent on the belief that whoever this band was that they were representing should have been on the cover of every magazine out there. Like this is, and I mean, that's the kind of faith you have to have in people you work for, I guess. You have to push them hard and all that kind of stuff. But for an unknown band to say, hey, or for you to say, or for this person to say, I want this unknown band on the cover of Terrorizer magazine, that's not going to happen.
No, not at all.
I mean, I responded, appropriately, I thought. And it was just kind of like the follow-up where it was like, well, you only listen to the record this many times. When I listened to it, I was blown away by the third song, and that kind of thing. And it just went back and forth for a little bit. Like, it just got ridiculous. I mean, there've been a couple of times when people have called me outright, like somehow got my phone number when.
Oh my God, no.
Well, I mean, we're talking years ago when the only way to get in touch with someone was basically their home phone number or an email address. So,
that's just aggressive, and
yeah,
this aggression will not stand, man.
But I usually sort of deflect those situations and talk people down, and usually end up laughing with them by the end of the 10-minute call when they were hell-bent on tearing me a strip, and I was just like, dude, like, chill. I'm gonna chill. I'll help you chill with me. Let's not make such a big deal about this.
That is amazing.
So there you go.
Okay, so what's the best pitch you have ever received that stood out to you?
The best pitch I've ever received. You know what? I can't really say that anything's stood out right now. I mean, the last handful of years, basically, if I'm going to check something out, it's going to be sort of based on my mood that day. So like I said, I get countless, or maybe not countless, but I get like hundreds of things sent to me all the time. And I'll look at a bio, and I don't care if a bio is short, or I don't care if a bio is really verbose and the person thinks they're Maya Angelou or, E.E. Cummings or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
As long as there's something in there that I can skim through and it's going to tell me a little bit about who this is, give me for fans of, a little bit of information about, maybe what you've done, whatever. And if it sounds interesting to me at the time, I'll file it away and get back to it, or maybe I'll listen to it on the spot, depending on, what I have going on. There are times when, like, I love D-beat, I love grindcore, I love, what I love. And I'll see a list of bands, but even then, it'll just be like, you know what, I don't feel like listening to another band that sounds like Entombed today. So, I'll come back to it, or, maybe I won't. I don't know. It's all kind of luck of the draw at this stage. I mean, I think that being as overloaded as I am sometimes maybe works against both the PR person approaching me and myself, because I might be missing out on some cool bands. But ultimately, the way I look at it is that if your band is awesome and you have good music, along the way, sometime at some point, I'm going to come across you. I might not like you when I hear you, but if the wheels are in motion and the rest of the scene is clamoring about you, I'm going to like, all right, maybe I should just check this out, if I already haven't checked it out. Ultimately, the way I look at it is that the good music will rise to the top, and the other stuff won't.
Well, can you kind of go over what you just kind of said for a second, Kevin? Because I know I never pitch you anything unless it's a couple months in advance for Decibel, because I know you only do like once a week or whatever, so it doesn't make.
It's crazy, dude. Right now I'm booked to the end of October.
October already?
Yeah. Wow. I just secured a couple things today that have me filled up till October.
To bother you about premieres. Now I'll go to someone else if I need to. But
well, if you can get in there, go ahead. I'm just saying, like, it's got to be like I said, everything at this point, it's kind of like luck of the draw.
Yeah, no, I get it. So can you kind of go over a little bit about why you need to be pitched a little bit in advance? Like, I mean, it's kind of obvious, I guess, but if you can kind of go over that a bit.
Well, I think that comes down to a couple of reasons. One, just the volume of stuff, like I said. And the volume of stuff in concert with the limited amount of posting spots I have on a place like Decibel, or wherever else. Like I was saying earlier on, space is limited. Also, it doesn't help that I have a very broad taste in music. So it's not like I'm your old school death metal guy. So that's all I'm going to write about. I'm going to write about everything or everything genre wise, but it'll be the good stuff that, or at least what I think, or what at least catches my ear from that genre. So, I'm not the hugest melodic death metal fan, but the new Absence record kicks ass. I'm not the hugest, whatever you call it, like that guttural sewer death metal type stuff. But, there are bands in there that I enjoy too. It's just a matter of, what also complicates is that my idea of what metal or heavy music is more along the lines of extreme music. So, I also like a lot of harsh noise, power electronics, hardcore. I'm a big, one of my favorite bands of all time is Strung Out. So like even melodic punk, and I was saying noise rock, Naked City type stuff like spazzy jazzcore, quick change, that kind of stuff. So, when you have that many more subgenres of people pitching bands from those subgenres, it sort of cuts into the amount of availability I have.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to let Corey ask a question, and unless I'm okay to do one more.
You can do your follow-up.
Okay, good. I wanted to ask, have you ever had to cover, or how often is it that you ever have to cover anything you don't like, if at all, nowadays?
In terms of writing features or reviews?
Any in general. Well, I mean, reviews, get assigned a lot of the times, but like, do you ever have to do something like, I don't know, a premiere or a feature that you don't like, and it's just like, I don't fucking like this, but they have to do it anyways?
No, the premiere stuff, I basically anything that I select or for a premiere is something that, obviously someone has approached me with, so it's not like, there have been times when I've hit somebody up, but, whatever I premiere is something that I believe in to some extent. I don't want to go out there and push bands that I don't have any faith in, or I just don't enjoy or whatever. Yeah. There have been assignments where I haven't necessarily been totally into a band I've interviewed or written about. Like, okay, I'll give you a perfect example, and you might even have read this. Like, I don't know if you've got issue 200 Decibel.
You have to tell me who's on the cover, and I could tell you if I have
the 200th issue. It's got the Lamb of God Hall of Fame in it.
I think so, but I'm not positive.
Okay, so anyway, my point is that I'm not really that big a Lamb of God fan. But Albert asked me if I wanted to do that Hall of Fame. I looked at, okay, well, this record's okay in my mind. I know people love it. People, like, at the time especially, go like, that's the record that basically broke that band. I'm not a hugest fan, but I recognize the significance of that record, the significance of the band, and that there's a story behind it. And, I also, because it's the Hall of Fame, we're required by Mudrian law to interview everyone who played on the record. So, I figured talking to these 5 dudes separately, I'm going to get some awesome stories about what life was like before they broke into this broader world of heavy metal. And then as they were breaking into it, and then, so on and so forth. And, I don't know, I just figured it would be an awesome story to write or to tell, or to write and tell. So, I was like all over it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I'm kind of the same way with Lamb of God, but we won't go there. We won't go there right now. So
why not?
Yeah, I don't want to get all the Lamb of God after. I'm good, thank you. Corey, you want to follow up?
Dog is my first mosh pit, so they're going to be a special band for me, no matter what I think of their music. So
right, so that's a perfect example, because they're. Sorry, say that again.
I said I did pick a great band for my first pit, though.
No, exactly, and that's a perfect example of what I'm saying. It's like that band is significant to so many people, and there's an awesome story to tell about it. So why not do it? Like, just because it's not in my top 10 favorite records of all time, that doesn't mean I can't find something to gush about.
Fair.
Yeah, and I mean, they're significant to the genre. They're important, obviously. So yeah,
So
there's
there
an
you go.
importance.
Do we have more to go over on pitching before we go on to the next one, Corey?
I think I'm good, and because he's already answered my question of what is the most cringe pitch you've gotten, which I'm gonna go with the phone call pitches because that's just creepy.
Have you ever gotten has anybody tried to bribe you to write stuff or what?
No, hell no.
Really?
I've actually had to turn around and tell people that's not how it's done, dude. So
Really? That's awesome.
We here in town, and I don't know if Corey knows this, but Curtis and I literally live like a half hour away from each other. I live in Hamilton, Ontario. He lives in Cambridge. And here in town, me and a bunch of friends used to do a radio show at Mohawk College. And we used to bring other friends in just to come in and throw tunes and hang out because we had the Sunday night slot. And we just, the station was essentially closed. The college was deserted and it was just us in this radio station. So we would invite other friends down. And there was this guy who used to come down. I can't remember his name, but he was trying to get into starting a label or working PR or something. And he ended up somehow, I don't know how he did this, but he ended up working with the band Toxic, that old 80s thrash band.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got stories about them, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so he was initially working or something to do with their sort of comeback EP. And he was like, and I was just kind of sitting back listening to him talk about it. And one of the other dudes at the radio station said, well, why don't you try and get it on so-and-so or this site or that site? And he's like, oh, I don't have the money to do that, man. And I'm like, and that's when I jumped in and I'm just like, what do you mean? He's like, well, don't you have to pay to get your bands on Decibel's website or in Decibel? And I'm like, no, man, it's like approach a writer. If the writer likes it, they'll write about it. And then 2 weeks later, I'm doing an interview with Toxic and helping this guy out. You know what I mean? And that sort of set him straight. But I mean, there's a lot of misconceptions about a lot of things that go on behind the scenes in the journalist world, at shows, doing merch, tour managing, all the stuff, everything out there. There's so much more that the people in the crowd and the sort of working everyday fan just doesn't realize happens. Some of it's really depressing, but some of it's just misconception. And I'm sure both of you know this as well. I don't know. I've
had people in my inbox ask me how much it would be for me to feature their band on Metal Injection, and that's not how it works. We don't do that. So
yeah. So that's kind of surprising. You've never had a bribe before. I kind of was going to think that you were going to say yes, but okay, I'm disappointed. Now, before we move on to the next question, final thing about pitching, how many people have tried to sweeten the deal with like a vinyl or a shirt or something? Which is, I guess, a bribe, but.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that I wouldn't say that's sweetening the deal. And okay, so I mean, essentially what'll happen, and this happens pretty rarely, it's like, I'll write about so-and-so, or someone has seen something that I've written and will be like, hey man, thanks for doing that. I have some spare whatever shirts of the band that you apparently like. What size are you? Do you want one? And it's up to me to say yes or no.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I have enough black t-shirts to last the rest of my life. I mean, there have been a couple times when I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I'll always offer to pay at least the shipping or something, because I know that, having worked on the other side of it with merch, I know that that's how a lot of the money is made.
Yeah.
And it's funny, before I started doing merch for bands, people used to like either hand me stuff or I used to ask for free stuff, not, I would say all the time, but enough that at this point in time, I kind of feel bad about it. Like even stuff I did like 15, 20 years ago, I like, wow, man, I probably shouldn't have, taken that free hoodie, even though they were offering it. I should have like at least given them something, you know what I mean? Because it's just, I know the bottom, and I know that, it's the bottom line, and there's like just more and more hands in the pot these days. And there's more of a squeeze going on and whatever else. So There you go.
Cool.
But,
Okay.
sorry, I was going to say, no one has come to me beforehand and said, if you write about this, I will give you this kind of. That's not right.
Yeah, that was the main. Yeah, I mean, I think I've given you stuff that you've reviewed, but I don't consider that to be weird. But I mean, whatever. I mean, I guess it's up to each individual. So let's get into the last question, Kevin, which is advice for anyone looking to get into writing. If you have pearls of wisdom that you would like to share.
Me? Pearls of wisdom? Oh God.
Pearls of wisdom.
Pearls of wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard for me to say because I come from a different era. I know from listening to a couple of your previous episodes and from what I know of Corey's stuff on metal and Jackson, there's obviously, and it's not like I'm completely blind to this, but I understand that, social media is a big thing. Online presence, all that kind of stuff. And that's like the complete opposite of me. I mean, I've never been on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a Facebook account. Never been on Twitter. I've never been on Instagram. Nothing. I have an email address. It's not even my name, so you can't even find me I'll give it to you if you want it. I'll give you my phone number if you want, but it's not like I'm out there constantly trying to dredge up things in the way the modern world dredges up things or promote myself or whatever, or stay in contact with people via Facebook messages or whatever people do to keep in touch via social media. I'm the kind of person where it's like, there'll be an email, like what do you call it? Reply chain. That's how you stay in touch with me or whatever. So that kind of got away from the point. My point is basically no matter which way you're coming at it or what you're doing, how you're promoting yourself, you have to love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, I'd say, I'm trying not to name names here, but I mean, there have been some people I've met over the years where I've questioned how much they actually enjoy heavy music.
Yep.
Like, why is this person even here?
Yep.
It's obvious that you don't know a lot about metal, and I don't even know if you like metal.
Mm.
I don't know. I just don't get it. And I mean, people will, there are people out there who are, excuse my language, but starfuckers, who are just kind of doing it to get backstage, who are just kind of doing it to get their picture in wherever people put their pictures. I, always started it, like I said, I mean, my life is a hobby that has got out of control. I started it because I liked writing about bands. Going back to the first fanzine I ever did, I put a demo band on the cover because I, wholeheartedly believed in them. And to this day, it's like, I want to write about bands that I enjoy, that I feel have something to say, or at least have a story to tell, or at least are interesting in some way. And I think that's, if you look at a lot of the magazines I write for, I haven't really written a lot of cover stories for Decibel or Metal Hammer or anything like that. Not because, or maybe because I'm a terrible writer and Albert just doesn't know how to get rid of me. I don't know. But my thing is that, I'd say, 13 issues a year of Decibel. I mean, 12, and then the special edition we do every year. I'd say personally, I'm into like less than half of them, to the point where I say, yeah, I'm a big fan of this band.
Yeah.
That's not to say that, the bands that they put on the cover aren't worthy or whatever. I mean, it's all subjective. It's just my tastes kind of gravitate towards a different area, I guess. And my area is just, wanting to write about stuff that I like, write about the bands I like. And also as I'm writing, because I work at home a lot and I'm alone a lot of the time and I love being alone. But as I'm writing, and I write to firstly entertain myself at the same time as I'm trying to, meet a deadline, help a band out, stick with the production schedule, and keep a job, basically. I mean,
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay, so I think we're pretty much wrapped up on questions. Corey, do you have anything?
No, I think that's all the questions that I had.
I was going to say to Kevin, how do we find you on social media? And then remembered again that he doesn't have any social media accounts.
you don't, but I'll give you my email address. If anyone who wants to email me, especially if you're a Nigerian prince and want to give me $1 million, that's cool.
Oh no.
Doomhauled@hotmail.com. That's spelled DOOMHAULED at hotmail.com. It is the first email address I had when the very first day I got on the internet, however many 20 plus years ago. Haven't changed it. It's funny. I interviewed Trevor from Black Dahlia Murderer when their latest record first came out, and we were kind of going back and forth on just like a couple questions, and at the beginning trying to like organize a time to do the interview, and his email address still had like straight edge X's in it, and he was in the same position, whereas like that was his first email at the beginning of the invention of the internet. So we had a good little chuckle about that.
That's amazing. You're a brave man for putting your email out on a podcast. I got to say that.
I mean, everybody has it, whatever. Maybe
just saying you're brave. But anyway, so Kevin, do you have any final words of wisdom that you would like to say to any listeners before we end off?
Keep on rocking in the free world. I mean, I have lots of pearls of wisdom, but I guess what I would want to say to anybody who's doing anything creatively is just keep doing it because you love it. Keep on trucking, keep on going forward. And if someone gives you a poor review, as I've been known to do over the years, and been and being chastised and yelled at many times. I'm surprised I had never had the shit beat out of me, to be honest with you. But anyway, like, don't let that stop you, man. I mean, if you're playing in a band and your only fans are the parents upstairs who had to sit through your basement rehearsals, then you love what you're doing, then at least those are 4 or 5 people who love what you're doing, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm sure Ron McGovney's kicking himself in the ass right now for not being as good a bass player he could have been, and having that Cliff Burton guy come along and snake his spot. So, just keep woodshedding and keep on. I don't know. I'm rambling now. I told you I was a rambler, dude.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll be a Corey and Curtis podcast without rambling. So
there you go. And I believe I did not fail you. Did I not, Corey?
You did not fail me.
So thank you,
really
Kevin.
tied podcast together at the very least.
So thanks, Kevin, for coming on. And I'm going to end it with saying, party on, Corey.
Party on, Curtis.